The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been called within 6 hours of the first human attacks. Representatives from dozens of species filled the Great Chamber on Nexus Prime, their voices rising in panic and confusion as reports continued to flood in from across civilized space. Chancellor Vex of the Drakmari Confederation stood at his designated speaking platform, his scaled hide showing the color patterns that indicated extreme stress. As one of the Council's most senior members, he had seen many crises over his 200-year career, but nothing like what was happening now. The humans have lost their minds, he declared to the Assembly. They have launched simultaneous attacks on 17 different systems. The Corvani home fleet has been completely destroyed. The Zephyrian trade network is under human occupation. The Altarian patrol routes have been seized by human forces using weapons we have never seen before. Councillor Thane of the Nexari Empire rose from his seat in the center of the chamber. His people had been the dominant galactic power for over 1,000 years and had never faced a serious military challenge to their authority. How is this possible? Thane demanded. Our intelligence reports indicated that human military technology was decades behind galactic standards. Their fleet consisted of fewer than 200 vessels. They controlled only 12 systems. The intelligence was wrong, Chancellor Vex replied. The humans have been building ships and weapons in secret for years. They used resources from mining operations we thought were for peaceful purposes. They have technology that operates on principles we do not understand. Ambassador Julie Parker sat quietly in the human delegation's seats as accusations flew around her. She was a small woman in her 50s who had spent 10 years trying to negotiate better treatment for humanity through diplomatic channels. Today she listened to aliens who had ignored her reasonable requests, suddenly become very interested in talking. Supreme Councillor Reth of the Valdari Republic stood up next. His people controlled the largest trade network in the galaxy and were deeply concerned about human actions against commercial shipping. The humans are attacking civilian vessels now, Reth announced. They have seized control of major trade routes and are demanding that all non-human ships submit to human inspection. This is intolerable, is it? Ambassador Parker asked, rising to her feet for the first time since the session began. The chamber became quiet as hundreds of alien eyes turned toward the human representative. For 15 years she had sat in those same seats and been treated like a minor annoyance by species who considered humanity too primitive to matter. For 15 years this council has allowed other species to attack human civilian vessels, Parker continued. The Zephyrians seized our cargo ships whenever they felt like it. The Altarians charged us illegal fees for using trade routes that belonged to everyone. The Corvani raided our colonies and claimed they were enforcing ancient territorial rights that somehow only applied to humans. Chancellor Vex interrupted. Those were minor disputes that could have been resolved through proper diplomatic channels. Parker smiled without any warmth. We tried diplomatic channels, Chancellor. I personally filed over 300 formal complaints about attacks on human vessels and colonies. This council acknowledged exactly 0 of them. You told us that new species needed to be patient while they learned their place in galactic civilization. Councillor Thane leaned forward in his seat. Ambassador Parker, what your species has done in the past 72 hours represents a complete violation of galactic law and order. Human forces have destroyed military installations, seized strategic resources, and occupied territory belonging to sovereign governments. You mean the same galactic law and order that allowed the Corvani to murder 300,000 human civilians on New Kansas? Parker replied. The same system of justice that told us civilian massacres were regrettable, but not worth disrupting trade relationships over. The chamber erupted in angry voices as different species began arguing with each other and with the human ambassador. Through the chaos, Parker continued speaking in a calm, clear voice that somehow carried over all the noise. This council had 15 years to treat humanity as an equal member of the galactic community. Instead, you treated us like children who needed constant supervision. You restricted our expansion while allowing others to claim entire sectors. You ignored our complaints while accepting their territorial demands. You told us that patience and cooperation would eventually earn us respect and better treatment. Supreme Councillor Reth tried to restore order. Ambassador, surely we can find a negotiated solution to this crisis. Violence benefits no one. Councillor Reth, your species profits from trade routes that were closed to human merchants for over a decade. The Valdari Republic supported every restriction placed on human commercial activities. You voted for the embargo that prevented us from selling our agricultural products to species that needed food. Where was your concern for negotiated solutions when human families were losing their farms because of those policies? Chancellor Vex spoke up again. The restrictions were temporary measures designed to help integrate humanity into the existing galactic economy. Parker turned to face him directly. Temporary? 15 years is temporary? And integration meant accepting permanent second-class status while watching other species expand their territories and increase their influence. She walked to the center of the chamber, a position normally reserved for senior council members addressing the full assembly. "Let me tell you what really happened here," she said. "This council decided that humanity was too dangerous to be allowed true equality. You saw that we were different from other species, that we approached problems in ways you did not understand. Instead of trying to learn from those differences, you decided to contain them." "That is not true," Councillor Thane protested. "The probationary membership system exists to help new species adapt to galactic standards of behavior. The probationary system exists to keep new species weak and dependent," Parker replied. "How many species have graduated from probationary status in the past 1,000 years, Counselor? How many have been allowed to expand beyond their original 12 systems?" The chamber became quiet as the aliens realized they could not answer that question in a way that supported their argument. Parker continued her speech. "The truth is that this council keeps new species in probationary status indefinitely because it maintains the power balance that benefits the established governments. You were never going to allow humanity to become a full member, because that would mean sharing real influence with a species you did not control. So what do you want now?" Supreme Councillor Reth asked. "What are humanity's demands?" "We are done making demands," Parker replied. "We are done asking permission. We are done accepting restrictions that apply only to us. Admiral Tony Walsh's fleet is currently occupying the Corvani capital system. General Mike Foster's forces have established human military bases in 8 systems that were previously declared off-limits to us. Captain Nancy Green's task force has taken control of the primary trade nexus in Zephyrian space." She looked around the chamber at the faces of aliens who had spent years dismissing human concerns and treating human lives as expendable. "You wanted to teach us our place in the galactic order," she said. "Congratulations. We learned that lesson very well. We learned that the galaxy respects only strength. We learned that asking politely gets you ignored. We learned that the only way to guarantee justice for your people is to be powerful enough to enforce it yourself." Chancellor Vex stood up again, his color patterns now showing fear instead of just stress. "Ambassador, what your species is doing will destabilize the entire galaxy. There will be wars, conflicts between species that have lived in peace for centuries." Parker smiled again, and this time there was something predatory in her expression. "Chancellor, the galaxy has not been at peace. It has been controlled by a small group of powerful species who used their strength to keep everyone else in line. What you call peace was actually just successful oppression of anyone who might challenge the existing order." She walked back toward her seat but stopped and turned to address the chamber one final time. "The age of asking for galactic permission is over. Humanity will take what we need to ensure our survival and prosperity. Any species that wants to coexist peacefully with us will be treated as friends and allies. Any species that chooses to threaten human interests will discover that we have become very good students of the lessons you taught us about how power really works in this galaxy." As Ambassador Parker sat down, the chamber erupted in chaos again. But this time the chaos had a different quality. Instead of anger and confusion, there was fear. The galaxy was beginning to understand that humanity had not just launched military attacks. They had declared the end of the old galactic order and announced their intention to replace it with something new. Captain Danny Rodriguez sat in his command chair aboard the merchant freighter New Horizon and watched the Altarian checkpoint station grow larger on his screen. For 10 years he had followed the same routine when entering alien space. Request permission, wait for approval, follow the designated flight path, and pay whatever fees the aliens decided to charge that day. Today would be different. "Captain," his communications officer said, "Altarian Control is asking for our travel documents and cargo manifest." "Tell them we are proceeding through their system on course for the Vega colonies," Danny replied. "Tell them this is a notification, not a request." The communications officer looked confused but sent the message. A few seconds later, the reply came back. Altarian Control says we do not have clearance to enter their space, the officer reported. They are ordering us to halt and prepare for inspection. Danny smiled for the first time in months. Send this message exactly as I say it. This is Captain Rodriguez of the New Horizon. I am not asking for clearance. I am informing you of my route. Any attempt to interfere with this vessel will be considered an act of war against humanity. The bridge crew stared at their captain. In 10 years of merchant service, they had never heard him speak to aliens like that. They had never heard any human speak to aliens like that. Sir, the weapons officer said quietly, they are powering up their patrol ships, 3 vessels moving to intercept. Danny turned to look at his tactical display. 3 Altarian ships were indeed moving toward the New Horizon. They were small patrol vessels with light weapons, but they could easily destroy or capture a human merchant freighter. Captain Rodriguez, came the angry alien voice over the communication system. You will halt immediately or we will open fire. All stop, Danny ordered his helmsman. Then he pressed a button on his command chair that sent a coded signal into space. The Altarian ships were halfway to the New Horizon when something impossible happened. A human warship appeared from nowhere and positioned itself between the merchant vessel and the alien patrol ships. The new ship was unlike anything the Altarians had ever seen. It was larger than their patrol vessels but moved faster than should have been possible. Its hull was black and smooth and seemed to bend light around it in strange ways. Altarian vessels, came a new voice over the communication channel. This is Captain Steve Davis of the UES Retribution. You are interfering with legitimate human commerce. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. This is Commander Vell of the Altarian Defense Force, the alien replied. You have no authority in our space. Withdraw or we will destroy both your vessels. Commander Vell, Captain Davis said in a calm voice, you have 10 seconds to reverse course. The Altarian commander made what turned out to be the last mistake of his life. He ordered his ships to open fire on the human vessels. The quantum torpedoes from the Retribution moved faster than the aliens could see. The 3 patrol ships simply ceased to exist. Torn apart at the molecular level by weapons that operated on principles the galaxy had never encountered before. Danny Rodriguez watched the brief engagement with satisfaction. No debris remained from the alien ships. No wreckage floated in space. The torpedoes had been so effective that the patrol vessels had been completely disintegrated. New Horizon, this is Retribution, Captain Davis said. You are clear to proceed on your planned course. Thank you, Retribution, Danny replied. It was a pleasure doing business with you. Similar scenes were playing out across the galaxy as human ships stopped asking permission and started taking what they needed. The age of human compliance with alien restrictions had ended in a single coordinated moment. General Kevin Moore stood on the bridge of the UES Vengeance and watched the Corvani home system grow larger on his tactical display. The massive dreadnought was the largest warship humanity had ever built. Constructed in secret over 5 years using materials the aliens thought were being used for civilian projects. General, his tactical officer reported, we are detecting 237 Corvani vessels in the system. 12 dreadnoughts, 47 cruisers, 96 destroyers, and 82 smaller patrol craft. Any civilian traffic? All civilian ships have fled to the outer system. The Corvani appear to be concentrating their entire fleet around their homeworld. Kevin nodded. That was exactly what human intelligence had predicted. The Corvani always brought their ships home when threatened and tried to make a stand at their most important world. Open a channel to all Corvani forces, Kevin ordered. Channel open, sir. This is General Kevin Moore of the Human Expeditionary Force. The Corvani Empire ordered an unprovoked attack on the civilian population of New Kansas Colony. 300,000 innocent people died in that attack. Today you will answer for those deaths. The reply came from Admiral Korvac, the supreme commander of the Corvani fleet. His voice shook with anger as he spoke. Human, you dare to threaten the Corvani Empire in our own system? We have over 200 warships here. You have brought only 1 vessel. Surrender now and we will give you a quick death. Admiral Korvac, Kevin replied. You killed our children. You bombed our schools and hospitals. You targeted civilians who had never raised a weapon against anyone. Did you really think there would be no consequences for those actions? You humans are weak, Admiral Korvac said. The Galactic Council keeps you contained because you are not ready for the responsibilities of true power. Today we will finish what we started at New Kansas. Kevin looked at his weapons officer and nodded. The Vengeance fired its main gravitational cannon for the first time in combat. The weapon created a localized gravity field that pulled 20 Corvani ships together and crushed them into a ball of twisted metal. The aliens had never seen anything like it. What is happening? Admiral Korvac demanded as his fleet tried to understand what had just destroyed 20 of their vessels. The human answer came in the form of quantum torpedoes that began systematically tearing apart the Corvani formation. Each torpedo could penetrate any known shield technology and destroy targets at the molecular level. Commander Rachel Stone led her fighter squadron into the chaos of the battle. Her ships used gravitational manipulation to pull enemy vessels out of their defensive positions and into the path of the Vengeance's weapons. Blue Squadron, target their command ship, Rachel ordered. Let's show Admiral Korvac what happens when you murder human families. The Corvani flagship tried to escape, but found itself caught in a gravity well generated by human fighters. Unable to maneuver, it became an easy target for the Vengeance's main guns. This is impossible, Admiral Korvac said as his ship's hull began to buckle under gravitational stress. Your technology was primitive. Your fleet was tiny. How are you doing this? Colonel Pete Johnson answered from his assault ship as it prepared to land ground troops on the Corvani homeworld. We learned from watching you, Admiral. We learned that the galaxy respects only strength. We learned that being peaceful gets you killed. We learned that patience and preparation go very well together. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it ended, the Corvani home fleet had been completely destroyed. Not a single human ship had taken significant damage. The aliens who had massacred civilians at New Kansas learned what happened when they faced human technology that had been designed specifically to kill them. General Moore stood on his bridge and looked at the tactical display. The Corvani homeworld lay defenseless before his fleet. Its orbital stations were gone. Its defense platforms were scrap metal. Its proud navy was nothing but expanding clouds of debris. Open a channel to the surface, he ordered. This is General Moore to the Corvani government. You have 48 hours to surrender unconditionally and begin paying reparations for the New Kansas massacre. If you refuse, we will demonstrate that orbital bombardment works both ways. The response came quickly from the planet's surface. The Corvani government agreed to all human demands. Across the galaxy, similar victories were being won by human forces that had spent 8 years preparing for this moment. The Zephyrians found their trade stations seized by human fleets. The Altarians discovered their patrol routes blocked by human warships. The Drakmari learned that their military bases could be destroyed from distances they thought were impossible. The galaxy had spent 15 years teaching humanity that might makes right. Today they started learning how well humans had absorbed that lesson. Admiral Lisa Thompson walked down the long hallway deep under the surface of the moon. Her footsteps echoed off the metal walls as she headed toward the most secret room in human space. Only 50 people in the entire galaxy knew this place existed, and today all 50 of them would learn why it had been built. The hallway ended at a thick door made of metal that could stop a nuclear blast. Thompson pressed her hand against a scanner and looked into a camera that checked her eyes. The door opened with a soft hiss and she stepped into a room filled with screens and computers. 49 other people sat in chairs arranged in a circle. Each person appeared on a screen because they were calling in from different parts of human space. These were humanity's top military commanders, the people who led fleets and armies and kept human colonies safe. Thompson walked to the center of the circle and looked at each face on the screens. She had worked with these people for years. She had fought beside them, planned with them, and watched them try their best to protect humanity with too few ships and too little support from the galaxy. Ladies and gentlemen, she said, the Corvani attack on New Kansas changes everything. 300,000 civilians are dead. Families, children, old people who never hurt anyone. The Galactic Council will hold meetings and write reports and do nothing useful while our people are buried. General Patricia Wells appeared on one of the screens. She commanded the Earth Defense Forces and had been asking for more weapons and ships for 10 years. Admiral, Patricia said, are we finally going to stop playing by their rules? Thompson nodded. We are going to stop playing entirely. Today we activate Protocol 7. The room became very quiet. Even through the video screens, Thompson could see that every person had stopped breathing for a moment. Protocol 7 was something they all knew about but hoped they would never need to use. For 15 years we have tried to be good galactic citizens, Thompson continued. We followed their laws, paid their taxes, accepted their limitations on our growth. We thought if we showed them we were peaceful and reasonable, they would treat us as equals. She pressed a button and the wall behind her lit up with a star map. It showed human space as 12 small dots surrounded by huge areas controlled by alien races. Instead, they treated us like children who could not be trusted with sharp objects. They gave us 12 systems and told us to be grateful. They let other races attack our ships and steal our property and kill our people. They told us this was the price of membership in civilized space. Another button press and the star map changed. Now it showed different information. Secret human bases in asteroid belts, hidden shipyards in empty space between stars, research stations that did not appear on any official records. What they did not know is that we were learning, Thompson said. Every insult, every attack, every restriction taught us something about how the galaxy really works. We learned that nice words and fair treaties mean nothing without the power to enforce them. Dr. Alex Carter appeared on a screen from his secret laboratory. He was the smartest human alive and had been working on new technologies for 8 years without anyone knowing about it. The weapons are ready, Alex reported. Quantum disruption torpedoes that can tear apart any known shield technology. Gravity manipulation systems that can pull enemy ships out of formation or crush them like tin cans. And our new class of warships that use principles the aliens have never seen before. Commander Susan Hayes spoke up from her screen. She led human special forces and had been gathering intelligence on alien weaknesses for years. We know where every important alien military base is located, Susan said. We know their communication codes, their supply routes, their defense patterns. We know which species are allies and which ones hate each other. We know everything we need to know to hurt them. Thompson looked around the circle of faces again. These people had spent their careers trying to protect humanity with inadequate tools and constant interference from aliens who saw humans as a minor annoyance. The Corvani wanted to test our resolve by murdering our civilians, she said. They are about to learn that some tests have very expensive answers. General Kevin Moore commanded the human fleet at the edge of the galaxy. His job had been to watch alien ships come and go while being unable to do anything about their hostile actions. Admiral, Kevin said, what are our rules of engagement? There are no rules anymore, Kevin. The aliens spent 15 years teaching us that might makes right in this galaxy. Today we start showing them how much we learned from those lessons. Colonel Pete Johnson appeared on another screen. He led the human marine forces and had been frustrated for years by orders to avoid conflict with alien troops even when they attacked human colonies. Ma'am, are we talking about full military action against the species that have been attacking us? We are talking about complete removal of restrictions on human expansion and activities, Thompson replied. Any alien government that wants to threaten human interests will learn why Earth's dominant predator is a species that never stops hunting. She pressed another button and the star map showed new information. Planned human colonies in systems the aliens had declared off limits. New trade routes through alien space. Military bases that would give humanity control over important strategic locations. For 8 years we have been building ships and training soldiers and developing weapons in secret, Thompson explained. We used resources from mining operations the Council thought were just for terraforming projects. We told them we were digging up metals to build farms and cities. Instead, we were building the tools we would need when diplomacy finally failed. Captain Danny Rodriguez spoke from his merchant ship. He had been dealing with alien harassment of human trade vessels for his entire career. Admiral, what about the other species that have not directly attacked us? Do we leave them alone? Danny, any species that supported the restrictions on human expansion or ignored attacks on human civilians will have a chance to reconsider their position, Thompson said. The galaxy is about to learn that humanity remembers every slight and every friend. General Patricia Wells leaned forward on her screen. When do we begin? Thompson looked at her watch. 72 hours from now, human forces will simultaneously strike at 17 different targets across the galaxy. We will destroy every military installation that has been used to threaten human space. We will seize control of every strategic resource we need for our expansion, and we will make it clear that the age of asking alien permission for human activities is over. Dr. Alex Carter spoke up again. Admiral, should we be concerned about galactic retaliation? Alex, the aliens spent 15 years underestimating human capabilities. They think our technology is decades behind theirs, and our military is too small to threaten anyone important. They are about to discover how wrong they have been about both of those things. The meeting continued for 2 more hours, as Thompson outlined the specific targets and objectives for each commander. Ships that had been hidden in asteroid fields would emerge to join the human fleet. Weapons that had been tested in secret would be used in battle for the first time. Soldiers who had been training for years would finally have a chance to show what they could do without restrictions. When the meeting ended, Thompson sat alone in the secret room and looked at the star map one more time. The 12 small dots that represented human space would soon be surrounded by much larger areas under human control. The aliens had made a critical error when they decided to test humanity's patience with civilian massacres. They had forgotten that patient species often use their patience to prepare for the moment when patience is no longer useful. Tomorrow, the galaxy would begin learning the price of that mistake, and humanity would begin collecting payment for 15 years of accumulated grievances. Captain John Martinez stood on the bridge of his ship and watched the alien fleet fly away. The Zephyrian ships moved slowly through space like they owned everything they could see. John felt his hands make fists as he watched them go. This was the 3rd time this month that the aliens had come to human space and taken what they wanted. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of the ship's engines. Lieutenant Ryan Blake sat at his station and typed on his computer. His face looked tired and angry. All the crew looked the same way these days. They were all sick of watching the aliens do whatever they wanted while humans could do nothing to stop them. "Captain," Ryan said without looking up from his screen. "The Zephyrians took 12 cargo ships this time. They said the ships were carrying illegal weapons, but we both know that's not true." John walked to the big window at the front of the bridge. Outside, he could see human patrol ships floating in space. They looked small and weak compared to the alien warships that had just left. The human ships had good crews and brave people, but their weapons were old and their armor was thin. "Any word from Earth Command?" John asked. "Admiral Thompson sent another message to the Galactic Council," Ryan replied. "She asked them to stop the Zephyrian attacks on our trade routes. The Council said they would look into it." John made a sound that was not quite a laugh. The Galactic Council always said they would look into human problems. They had been looking into human problems for 15 years now, and nothing ever got better. In fact, things kept getting worse. The humans had joined the galactic community with hope and excitement. They thought they would make friends with alien races and learn new things and explore the stars together. Instead, they found out that the galaxy was run by old races who thought humans were just children, who did not know anything important. The Council had given humanity 12 star systems. 12 systems out of millions that existed in the galaxy. Other alien races controlled hundreds or thousands of systems, but humans got 12. The Council said this was because humans were new and needed to prove they could be trusted with more space. But every time humans tried to expand or build new colonies, the aliens found reasons to stop them. The Corvani said humans were too violent. The Altarians said humans were too unpredictable. The Drakmari said humans bred too fast and would use up all the resources. So humans stayed in their 12 systems and tried to follow all the rules the aliens made for them. They paid taxes to the Council. They sent their young people to alien schools. They shared their technology and resources when the aliens asked for them. They hoped that being good galactic citizens would earn them respect and more freedom. Instead, it earned them nothing but more restrictions and more attacks. "Sir," Ryan said. "Incoming message from New Kansas Colony." John turned around fast. New Kansas was one of humanity's farm worlds. It grew food for 3 other human colonies and had almost 300,000 people living on it. Most of them were families who just wanted to live quiet lives and grow crops. "Put it on screen," John ordered. The main screen lit up and showed a man with a bloody face. Behind him, John could see fires burning and people running. The sound of explosions came through the speakers. "This is Governor Paul Harris of New Kansas Colony," the man said. His voice shook as he spoke. "We are under attack by Corvani ships. They came without warning and started bombing our cities. They say we built our settlements on their ancient territory, but that's impossible. The Council approved this colony site 15 years ago." The screen shook as another explosion went off somewhere nearby. Governor Harris fell down and got back up. When he looked at the camera again, there was more blood on his face. "Please send help," he said. "They're targeting civilian areas. Schools, hospitals, homes. My daughter's school was hit 10 minutes ago. I don't know if she's alive." The signal went dead. John stared at the empty screen for a long moment. Around him, the bridge crew sat in shocked silence. Finally, Ryan spoke up. "Captain, should I contact Earth Command?" "Do it," John said. His voice sounded strange even to himself. "Tell Admiral Thompson that the Corvani have attacked New Kansas. Tell her they're bombing civilians." Ryan's fingers moved fast over his keyboard. While he worked, John looked out the window again. The human patrol ship still floated there, looking small and helpless. But something was different now. John could feel it in the air around him. Something had changed. "Message sent, sir," Ryan reported. "Admiral Thompson wants to speak with you directly." The screen lit up again and showed Admiral Lisa Thompson sitting in her office on Earth. She was an older woman with gray hair and hard eyes. She had been fighting for human rights in the galactic community longer than anyone else. "John," she said, "how bad is it?" "Bad, Admiral. The Corvani are hitting civilian targets. Families, children, old people. They say New Kansas is built on their territory, but we both know that's not true." Admiral Thompson was quiet for a moment. Her face looked like stone. "John, I want you to take your ship and go to New Kansas. Do what you can to help the people there." "And John?" "Yes, Admiral?" "This is the last time," she said. "The last time we watch our people die while the galaxy does nothing. The last time we ask politely for justice and get laughed at. After today, things are going to be different." The screen went dark. John looked around his bridge at his crew. They all stared back at him with the same expression. They had heard what the Admiral said. They knew what it meant. Lieutenant Ryan Blake stood up from his station. His parents lived on New Kansas. They had been teachers at the colony school for 10 years. "Captain," he said, "request permission to prepare the ship for combat operations." John nodded. "Permission granted. All hands to battle stations." As alarms started ringing throughout the ship, John looked out the window one more time. The human patrol ships were moving now, turning toward New Kansas. They still looked small compared to the alien fleets, but something was different about them. They moved with purpose now. They moved like hunters. The galaxy was about to learn something new about humanity. They were about to learn what happened when a patient species finally ran out of patience. Admiral Lisa Thompson stood at the observation deck of Galactic Station 1 and watched human ships patrol space that had been forbidden to them just 6 months ago. The massive station had once been the crown jewel of the Nixari Empire, a symbol of their 1,000-year dominance over galactic affairs. Now it served as humanity's primary military headquarters in the galactic core. The transformation had been swift and complete. Human engineers had modified the station's systems to accommodate their technology. Human soldiers patrolled its corridors. Human flags flew beside the symbols of species that had chosen to ally themselves with the new galactic order. Captain John Martinez entered the observation deck, carrying the daily intelligence reports. His ship, the Defiance, now led a battle group that included vessels from 6 different alien species who had decided that joining humanity was better than fighting them. "Admiral," John said, "the Drakmari have formally requested a mutual defense treaty. The Valdari want to discuss exclusive trading rights with human colonies, and the Terran Colonial Administration reports that 18 new worlds are ready for settlement." Thompson nodded as she reviewed the reports. The pace of change had been overwhelming at first, but now she found herself settling into the rhythm of managing an interstellar empire. It was not a role she had expected to play when she joined the Human Space Service 30 years ago. "Any resistance movement still active?" she asked. "Colonel Amy Turner reports that the last Corvani insurgent cell was eliminated yesterday," John replied. "The occupation forces have established stable governments on all former Corvani worlds. Commander Chris Williams says the Zephyrian territories are fully integrated into our defense network. Most of the galaxy seems to have accepted the new reality." Through the observation deck's massive windows, Thompson could see the orbital shipyards where human engineers were building the next generation of warships. The designs incorporated technology, captured from defeated alien fleets combined with improvements, developed by human scientists who no longer needed to hide their research. Dr. Alex Carter appeared on the communication screen mounted on the wall. His research facilities had been moved from hidden bunkers to the most advanced laboratories in the galaxy, equipped with instruments and materials that had once belonged to species who thought humans were too primitive to understand advanced science. "Admiral," Alex reported, "the new gravitational manipulation systems are ready for fleet deployment. We have also made significant progress in understanding Nexari quantum processing technology. Our computational capabilities should increase by several orders of magnitude within the next year. Thompson smiled at the irony. The aliens had spent so much effort keeping humanity contained that they had never prepared for what would happen when containment failed. Their own advanced technology was now being used to make human forces even more powerful. In the reformed Galactic Council chamber, Ambassador Julie Parker sat in the seat reserved for the presiding species. The position had once rotated monthly among the major galactic powers, but now humanity held it permanently. The other species representatives listened carefully as she outlined the latest changes to galactic law and policy. The Outer Rim territories will be open to human colonization effective immediately, Parker announced to the assembled aliens. Trade routes through the spiral arm will operate under human oversight to ensure fair access for all species. The former Corvani industrial facilities will be converted to produce medical supplies for worlds damaged during the recent conflicts. Chancellor Vex of the Drakmari raised his hand to speak. His people had been among the first to accept the new reality, and had been rewarded with favorable trade agreements and protection from species that might want revenge for past conflicts. Ambassador Parker, he said, the Drakmari Confederation wishes to express our gratitude for humanity's assistance with our border disputes. The Altarian separatists have agreed to negotiations now that they know human peacekeepers will enforce any agreements reached. Parker nodded graciously. The key to maintaining the new order was demonstrating that cooperation with humanity brought benefits while resistance brought consequences. Species that chose to work with human authorities found their trade improving and their security guaranteed. Species that chose to fight discovered how thoroughly human military technology had surpassed their own. Captain Danny Rodriguez checked the status of his merchant fleet as it prepared to depart for humanity's newest colony. The New Horizon was now accompanied by a full escort of human warships, but they were rarely needed. Most alien governments had issued orders to their military forces to avoid any conflicts with human vessels. Captain, his communications officer reported, we have clearance for direct passage through Veldari space. No inspections, no delays, no special fees. Danny remembered the years when alien customs officials had treated human merchants like criminals who needed constant supervision. Now those same officials competed to offer the best services to human ships, knowing that losing human business could devastate their local economies. Set course for New Terra colony, Danny ordered. Maximum speed. Our cargo holds are full of families who want to start new lives on a world where they will never have to worry about alien raids or territorial disputes. General Patricia. Wells reviewed the strategic situation from her command center on what had been the Nexari homeworld. The planet was now called New Terra and served as the capital of humanity's expanding colonial empire. Human settlements dotted its surface while orbital platforms provided defense against any species foolish enough to challenge human control. The transformation is remarkable, she said to her staff as they reviewed reports from across human space. 6 months ago, we controlled 12 systems and lived under restrictions imposed by aliens who saw us as a potential threat to their authority. Today, we control over 200 systems and other species ask our permission before expanding their own territories. Colonel Steve Davis appeared on the communication screen from his base in the former Altarian sector. His forces had established human military presence in strategic locations throughout that region, ensuring that no species would be tempted to test human resolve. General, Steve reported, the Altarian government has requested human mediation in their dispute with the Centauri Alliance. They say they trust human fairness more than they trust the old Galactic Council arbitration system. Patricia found that development particularly satisfying. The same species that had once dismissed human diplomatic efforts now sought human help with their own problems. They had learned that humanity remembered both enemies and friends. Dr. Laura Kim's xenobiology teams were making remarkable discoveries as they gained access to research facilities that had been closed to humans for decades. The scientific knowledge they were acquiring would accelerate human technological development for generations. We are learning things about galactic biology and physics that would have taken us centuries to discover on our own. Laura reported from her new laboratory on the former Corvani research world. The aliens' mistake was assuming that keeping us isolated would keep us weak. Instead, it motivated us to become strong enough to take what we needed. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Blake stood on the bridge of his new ship, the UES Justice, and watched the memorial ceremony taking place on the surface of New Kansas. The colony had been rebuilt stronger than before, with orbital defenses that could repel any attack. The families who had died in the Corvani massacre were honored with monuments that would remind future generations why humanity had been forced to abandon. Diplomacy in favor of strength. Sir, his tactical officer reported, we are receiving a distress call from a Zephyrian cargo ship. They report engine failure and request assistance. Ryan considered the request. A year ago, Zephyrian ships had been seizing human vessels and claiming they were enforcing galactic regulations. Today they were asking humans for help when they encountered problems. Set course to assist, he ordered. Maximum speed. And send a message to the Zephyrian ship. Tell them that humanity protects all peaceful travelers in our space regardless of their species. The galaxy had learned that human patience, once exhausted, was not easily restored. But they had also learned that human justice, while swift and decisive, could also be fair and protective for those who chose cooperation over conflict. Admiral Thompson looked out at the stars one final time before retiring to her quarters. In the distance, she could see the lights of human colonies on worlds that had been empty just months ago. Closer to the station, alien ships waited in orderly lines for permission to enter human space, their crews eager to trade with the species that had become the galaxy's dominant power. The old galactic order had fallen because it was built on the assumption that humans would remain patient forever. The new order would endure because it was built on the understanding that patience and preparation, when combined with the will to act, could reshape the fundamental structure of galactic civilization. Tomorrow would bring new challenges as humanity continued to expand and other species continued to adjust to their changed circumstances. But tonight, for the first time in 15 years, human families across hundreds of worlds would sleep safely,